Hello, this is the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Thank you so much for tuning into this video in which we will look at using information to find the mean standard deviation of a normal distribution. So when doing questions like this, you always use z-scores. So let's illustrate how to do this through an example. So time taken for a chemical reaction to occur, normally distributed, variance 4 seconds, and it's known that 15% of reactions take longer than 5 seconds. So we're going to find the mean time taken for a chemical reaction. Okay, we're asked to find the mean of a normal distribution. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this information here to find the z-score such that 15% of scores are above that. So I'll just call that score K. I want to find the z-score K so that 15% of scores are above it. So hopefully you remember that the inverse normal function only works when you know the probability of being less than a given score. So if the probability of being more than K is 0.15, the probability of being less than K is 0.85. So I use the inverse normal function. So remember, you go second, vase, and the third option. So I want 85% of scores lower than it. And because it's z-score, Z distribution, the mean of the standard normal distribution is 0 and the standard deviation is 1. So putting that on our calculator, we get about 0.136. So if 15% of scores are longer than 5 seconds, that means that 5 seconds is 1.036 standard deviations above the mean. So now we're going to use our Z formula. So remember, for a Z score, it's score minus mu over standard deviation. So in this case, we know our z-score is 0.136. We know that the score that's 1.036 standard deviations above the mean is 5. So 5 minus mean over standard deviation. So variance 4 means standard deviation is 2. Now I have one equation with one unknown. I'm just going to solve for mu. So I multiply both sides by 2, and I can solve for mu by subtracting 2.072 from 5. And there I have it. Mu is 2.928, so the mean time taken for the chemical reaction is 2.928 seconds. All right, let's look at a similar example, but this time finding the standard deviation. So let's say the height of 17-year-old boys normally distributed, mean 175. We know 20% of students are shorter than 168 centimeters, and we're going to find the standard deviation. So we're going to do exactly what we did on the previous slide. We're going to figure out for 168 centimeters how many standard deviations that is below the mean. So again, I'll call that number K. So we have the probability that Z is less than K is equal to 0.2. So to figure out what K is, I just use inverse normal. The area is 0.2, mean 0, standard deviation 1. So putting that on our calculator, we get approximately minus 0.8416. What I have found is that because only 20% of scores are lower than 168, this number 168 centimeters must be 0.8416 standard deviations below the mean. So again, I can use the Z formula for this. So the Z score says that our score minus the mean over the standard deviation gives you the z-score. So in this case, the z-score we calculated was minus 0.8416. So now we're just going to solve for sigma, the standard deviation. So just making this a little easier to work with, 168 minus 176 is negative 8. So what we can do to solve this quickly, we can move the negative 8 and the fraction line over. So we get that sigma would be minus 8 divided by minus 0.8416. And the answer we get is about 9.5. That is the standard deviation, and we always use z-scores. All right, thank you so much for tuning into this video. This has been the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Have a great day.